Hi, everyone. Julianna Forlano here from ACT.tv. Welcome to our progressive movement coverage. Lots to report upon today. I hope everyone in the Gulf area and even inland from the Gulf is keeping safe. I hope folks in California are okay. We've got competing environmental catastrophes and climate catastrophes happening at the same time. Whew. You got to put your hearts and prayers out to a lot of folks these days, all at one time. It's serious. And, you know, we spoke yesterday with our guest about Sasha Abramsky about whether Trump is going to actually send in aid and supplies to the forthcoming victims of Hurricane Laura that looks like it's strengthening into potentially a Category 4 storm is the last thing I saw reported. I think it's supposed to go back down to a 3 before it, makes landfall in the western Louisiana, eastern Texas area of the Gulf. But a 3 is still very bad. So lots of places currently evacuating. Hope everyone stays safe. If Trump gives money, which I think he definitely should, then why is he not sending in the money and the federal aid to California and other areas ravaged by climate change-induced catastrophes? We talked about it if you missed the interview, check it out on YouTube. We talked about this with Sasha Abramsky yesterday. I don't think we have to jump far to understand, it's not a mystery. Trump will help red areas and not blue areas. End of story. That's it. Anyway, we have our news headlines today, and then coming up on this program, executive director and publisher of the Feminist Press at City University of New York, where I used to work, and the author of Step Into Your Power, Young, Gifted, and Black, and other books, Jamia Wilson is joining us on the program. Guess what? Today is Women's Equality Day. Back in 1920, the ladies won. We won a thing. We adopted the 19th Amendment, which granted white women full voting rights. It's taken a while to get the full enfranchisement of black women after that. But, we started somewhere here. We're going to mark this day with Jamia Wilson. So that'll be a great interview. But first up, here are the progressive news headlines for today, Wednesday, August 26th. We covered the GOP convention ad nauseum, and I do mean nauseum, yesterday. So we're going to move on to other stuff that's happening. Donald Trump, who has spent much of his presidential term demonizing and terrorizing immigrants through both rhetoric and policy. I just want to cover this little bit of the RNC last night. He hosted a naturalization ceremony at the White House for 5 of the hundreds of thousands, but 5 new citizens, while his base vomited in horror, and the rest of us were like, are you kidding me? This is how you expect us to believe that you care about immigrant? Whatever. Here's the clip. Get your Tums ready. Get your barf bags ready. It's pretty gross.
The oath of allegiance.
This was pre-taped, by the way.
Welcome you as our fellow citizens. Candidates for naturalization, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I hereby declare an oath that I absolutely and entirely renounce and abjure all allegiance and fidelity to any foreign prince.
Gee, it really renouncing any allegiance and fidelity to a foreign leader. Maybe we should have Trump get naturalized. Is that possible? Could we have him renounce his fealty to foreign leaders? Putin?
Any foreign prince,
Potentate, state or sovereignty, of whom or which I have heretofore been
Where did they get these people?
a subject or citizen, that I will support and defend.
Okay, we know how this works, but seriously, this is absolutely insane. Rights advocates and commentators were as appalled as I am by the president's cynical and likely unlawful exploitation of these 5 citizens from respectively Bolivia, Lebanon, India, Sudan, and Ghana. How interesting, they picked across the board, and very few, I don't know Latinos. Well, Bolivia. Anyway, to paint himself as a pro-immigrant, this is what he's trying to do in service to his re-election efforts. Who does he think he's going to get to believe that he is pro-immigrant? This is absolutely insane. And why, if his base just wants him to be anti-immigrant, is he now pandering to the pro-immigrant thing? Is he still trying to get the white suburban house moms who will be completely in denial and be like, well, look, he's got a black guy on there, so he must be fine. Oh, he's fine. He's fine. Are they going to show a video of him releasing the children from the cages next? Hi. It's hard not to be apoplectic when covering this news. It's tough. What can I tell you? Okay, Mike Pompeo, by the way, is under investigation for corrupt and unlawful and the RNC speech that he gave from Jerusalem. So shortly before Pompeo, who is the U.S. Secretary of State, pre-recorded speech from Jerusalem aired during the RNC last night, the House of Representatives launched an investigation into his likely unprecedented and, likely unlawful decision to address the partisan event while overseas on taxpayer-funded government business. Representative Joaquin Castro, vice chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee and chairman of the panel's Oversight and Investigation Subcommittee, announced the investigation in a statement on Tuesday, declaring that the Trump administration and Secretary Pompeo have shown a gross disregard not only for basic ethics, but also a blatant willingness to violate federal law for political gain. I have a clip of Pompeo's speech, but guess what? I don't want to watch it myself, so I'm not going to make you sit through it. Doesn't that sound nice? Isn't that nice of me? Oy. Okay. Moving on. Get some tech here. Okay. Check it out. Climate campaigners, we are celebrating a major milestone in the fight to eliminate the use of fossil fuels today. The fight to transition to a green economy had a big win as ExxonMobil was dropped from the S&P Dow Jones Industrial Average after nearly 100 years. The oil giant is the oldest member of the Dow, and it was replaced by software company Salesforce, also evil, but not quite the same. For more than 100,000 people were displaced by wildfires raging across California. A third year of global Fridays for Future climate action protests kicked off, and the Republican Party was rebuked for failing to even mention the planetary emergency on the first night of its convention. 350.org executive director May Bove said in her response that the finance world has been forced to wake up and cut ties with the climate criminals. This is pretty great. So in April, oil prices fell below $1 a barrel for the first time on record, prompting calls by climate action activists and advocates to nationalize the oil industry rather than continuing to prop it up. Meanwhile, the solar and wind sectors are growing at a rapid rate, and in recent decades have had job growth in the renewable field had outpaced job growth in the oil field, not the field, but the field of oil. Exxon's deep falling today is another powerful reminder of how fossil fuels are too volatile to be the basis of a resilient economy, said Bove. It's past time for Exxon to recognize that it's not only one of the most responsible companies for the climate crisis, but it's also, that its assets are quickly becoming stranded as we move toward more sustainable, resilient, and regenerative economic systems based on renewable, accessible, and just green energy sources. 7 oil companies have downgraded their assets by at least $87 billion in the last 9 months, while more than 1,200 institutions representing more than $14 trillion in assets have committed to fossil fuel divestment. Exxon is like, we're not done, and And even Brian Carr at Earther said, Exxon is definitely not done. The company is worth $175 billion with its tentacles latched into the Republican Party, and it's still a formidable foe. But this does show that a different world is possible. I'm shocked. I remember when I was in, high school, or maybe it was elementary school. I don't remember. I was in one of my schoolings, and the Berlin Wall fell. And the day before the Berlin Wall fell, my social studies teacher, when they taught social studies in school, civics and social studies, he said, if you think the Berlin Wall is going to fall, let me tell you this, it's not going to fall in my lifetime. Then we came back the next day, and he had to eat his hat, as they say. So this is one of those moments where you think this is never going to happen. Exxon is so entrenched, but we're seeing cracks, right? We're seeing cracks, and that's a plus. Hey, you got more news. The Postal Workers Union, right here with us today, fighting. A union representing the U.S. Postal Service employees joined with USPS supporters to hold dozens of rallies across the country on Tuesday, demanding that Congress save the post office. There's your hashtag if you want to follow it, by providing the agency with at least $25 billion in emergency funding, as well as stopping and reversing mail slowdown policies introduced by good old Postmaster General Louis DeJoy. The day of action, organized by the American Postal Workers, came after the GOP donor DeJoy, by the way, got to keep that in mind, testified before the House Oversight Committee and demonstrated, as committee member Katie Porter put it, that he doesn't know the basics of his agency. You can go to apwu.org. That's the American Postal Workers Union.org /save the post office to tell your senator to take action now to save the post office and the integrity of the 2020 election. That's it. That's just something to do. That's it. All right. Now over to a story that we've all been following. Jacob Blake's father spoke yesterday. Marches and demonstrators are continuing nationwide, demanding justice for the 29-year-old who was shot in the back, black man, by police multiple times in Kenosha, Washington on Sunday. He is currently paralyzed from the waist down, and doctors do not yet know if the injury is permanent. I would imagine that actual prayers would be welcome for this man. Blake, a father of 6, was reportedly trying to break up a fight before officers followed him to his vehicle and fired several shots at point-blank range as he opened his driver's side door. You can watch the video of that horror. I have a video of Blake's father speaking. He said, he addressed protests in Kenosha, saying that the police officers that shot his son like a dog in the street are responsible for everything that has happened in the entire city of Kenosha. Here is a portion of that speech.
I'd like to thank everyone.
I'm sorry. Let me make sure that you have the audio for this. There's a little glitch in our new screen sharing thing. And you have to share it like a certain way. Otherwise, you can't hear anything. And that is very important. I want to make sure everyone hears this. Let's give it another try.
Everyone for coming out in support of my son with this senseless attempted murder that was committed on him. They shot my son 7 times. 7 times. Like he didn't matter. But my son matters. He's a human being and he matters.
That's Jacob Blake's father speaking yesterday. He is the father of the unarmed black man shot by police in Kenosha, Washington. I also have video of Jacob's mother speaking. If I don't really know how to comment appropriately on this. I can see that the police are going to use the defense of we were pointing gun at him. We told him to stop. He went in his car. We thought he was getting out a weapon and we shot him. But why did they have to shoot him? Can't they have less than military, less than, couldn't they use a taser, or couldn't they use something that was non-lethal force? This is absolutely insane. And I feel like that argument is going to get them off in a court of law. It's not going to get them off with the court of public opinion, but I'm concerned that justice will not be served. But I also believe that hopefully it's a grace that Jacob Blake has lived through this, and I really hope for his full recovery. And there's going to be three more traumatized children in the world, and I hope for their full recovery as well, and the healing of the hearts of Jacob's mother and father. Here's Jacob's mother speaking.
See by now that I have beautiful brown skin, but take a look at your hand, and whatever shade it is beautiful as well.
Amen. Yes.
How dare we hate what we are? We are humans. God did not make one type of tree or flower or fish or horse or grass or rock. How dare you ask him to make one type of human that looks just like you?
Wow.
I'm not talking to just Caucasian people. I am talking to everyone. White, black, Japanese, Chinese, red, brown.
Hi, it's Sam Barker here.
And now YouTube is going to interrupt this video. Wouldn't you be embarrassed to be this guy? I mean, he is wearing a hat that says fool, so I guess maybe he knows. But wouldn't you be embarrassed to be this guy, to have your ad running in the middle of the speech of a mother whose son was shot by the police? This is just an insane world. You're watching Act.tv. I'm Julianna Forlano. Follow us on all the social media platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. And thank you to those of you who have found us recently and already subscribed. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Julianna Forlano. Thanks for watching.